Hi everybody, welcome to this video edition of our iChime meeting. This is a video recording of our May 2023 meeting with our special guest Tim Rowe. Be sure to visit iChime.io where you can join our mailing list and receive invitations to all of our future meetings. In this meeting, Tim Rowe is going to be talking about what's new in ACS and Navigator for IBM I. Tim Rowe is the business architect responsible for application development and systems management for the IBM I operating system. His responsibilities include helping to make sure that the IBM I has what is needed to be successful both today and into the future. Tim spends much of his time also helping customers understand what is possible on our platform when it comes to modernization. What follows now is the video recording of our iChime meeting. Take it away, Tim. Tim is now sharing his screen, and we're going to talk about what's new in ACS and Navigator for IBM I. Tim Rowe, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. I'm going to start with ACS and then we'll swing over to Navigator for a little bit. I have 0 slides. As people who know me know, I am a firm believer in death by demo. So we're gonna play on that banjo today. Couple things about ACS. Our newest version that came out a couple weeks ago. Go to help about 1.1.9.2 is the latest version that's out and available. Couple interesting things that got added in here. As you may be aware, Scott and I spent lots of time talking about SQL things. So we've got some big updates that happened in our Run SQL scripts interface. So I just wanted to cover those just to make you aware of them. And while this is additionally a Death by Demo session, it's also if you've got questions or you want to talk about something, chime in. That's what the purpose of this is for. First off, recently we've added a bunch of new enhancements in here. A couple of the ones that I want to point out. All right, I got 4 files. I'm going to select my 4 files. I'll click open. You'll probably notice I've got 4 tabs that are now loading. So now I have 4 of these tabs. I can go back and forth between them. Under this editor tab, you can now easily see which of the tabs are there. I can click on the editors button and I can go back and forth between these. So I can just double click on one. If I wanted to, close one, whatever, I can save it. I can do all that from this one controlling interface. So that is one of those nice things that we've added. That was added a release or 2 ago. I say release, an update or 2 ago. The other biggie that just recently came out, under Edit Preferences, you may notice that we now have right here autosave information. This is one of those fun items. We can now take and save stuff. So that's, I think, an important addition that was added that certainly has been asked for by quite a few. It isn't turned on by default. So just be aware of that. If you want to use it, go into this, click on your save files, specify your inactivity timer, and specify whether or not you want files saved before you go off and run something. Obviously, you probably do. So anyways, that's now here. This is in the 1.1.9.2 version.
A question for you, Tim?
Sure, go for it.
Without that being checked, I mean, you're not getting, nothing's being saved then?
That's correct. By default, the autosave is not enabled. So you'll be business as usual. So if you want to take advantage of it, edit preferences, go click on that.
And out of the box default is not checked.
Correct.
Okay.
So those were some of the new additions. Oh, I forgot to add another one that was asked for. Under preferences, under results, there's another new value right there. How many rows do you want to have returned in the results set? You can now customize that and go specify how many rows you want for you. In the past, it was always 100. So if I ran a query, down here in the results window, I would get 100 entries returned. And if I wanted more, I'd have to scroll or hit the little magic button at the bottom. Well, now you can go say, I want 200, I want 300. You can go tell us how many you want to get returned there. So that's another new item that was recently added to our ACS Run SQL Scripts support.
I can see that being very useful, Tim.
Well, I mean, it is, because a lot of services or a lot of SQL requests, to get back 100 entries, it's instantaneous. To get back 200 entries, it's probably still instantaneous. But to return 700 or 800 might be longer. Well, why not let you figure out what your threshold is? So you can do that now. The other new item added, JDBC configurations. If I go edit this, there was some updates in here that were done to correct the library list capabilities. They didn't always play as nice as we wanted them to, so that's been fixed. If you want to see more information on that, great. I will tell you where you need to go. You can go to our lovely page. I'm going to get to it in a roundabout way. Here from Navigator, right? We have a lovely little icon up here that pushes you out to the IBM support page. From the support page, IBM technology updates. From here, right, if I go click on TR2, which is where we put the announce content for 1192, there it is. You can go get all the rest of the information in here about what we added, including the updates about overwrite text, some 50 JDBC stuff is in here. And then the last one that I think is probably one of the biggest ones that I often forget about, which is why I'm glad I came here, prompting. So let's go back to my Run SQL scripts. I'm going to go open a new page. I'm going to go to my insert from examples, prompting examples. So let me go insert that in here. You will notice that I have got a SQL script that's got question marks in it. Ooh, I've got 4 of them, right? 2, 3, 4. All good stuff. And in the past, if you wanted to go run this particular script, you had to go fill those things in. Well, now I'm going to just go run this script. So I just double click on it. That's how I have things enabled. And look at that. We now prompt you so you can enter in the values for those particular things. So this is one of those items that's been sought after for some time. I got it.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's kind of fun too. So makes life a little bit easier going back and forth between things like RDI and interfaces like this. The last little convenience thing, in a lot of the scripts that Scott and I do, he's a firm believer in adding in documentation. which, lost on me some days, but that's okay. But now you may notice I'm hovering over this URL, and notice there's a blue line under it. If I hit my command and click, it's actually a live link that will launch me to that location out in a browser. So just easily being able to tie that stuff together. All right. What are some of the ACS things? Any thoughts, questions on ACS?
A lot of people I know, Tim, a lot of people associate run SQL scripts with as ACS. Clearly it does so much more, but this is the go-to component that people think of right away.
Well, there's probably two go-to components, because the other go-to component that, you often overlook is we do have a 5250 emulator in here. Not that I like to use it very often, but it does exist. But beyond that, in this interface, there's updates, there's things for the integrated file systems, printer output. And if you're doing anything in the world of open source, you have the open source package management tool. This allows you to load all of those RPM packages that our open source team creates onto your specific IBM. So lots of stuff in ACS.
How many are we up to today?
I don't remember the count, but it's pushing 400.
400. Does anybody else have any questions while we're here?
Yeah. Hey, Tim.
Great. Yeah.
At the risk of sounding foolish, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but so in my normal process is that when I'm working on a SQL statement to implement into RPG, I'll do it in ACS, get everything the way that I want it. And sometimes this will bite me because in ACS, it will run just fine. And then when I put it into my RPG program, it crashes. And usually the cause of that crash is that, I'm returning null values. But in ACS, it sort of is forgiving, and it handles those null values nicer than RPG is going to. Is there a way to run things in ACS and tell it I want to emulate as if I'm running in an RPG program?
No, but there is a way for you to clearly see what's going on as far as null values are returned. So I'm assuming if you run it, you get null values back in ACS. So let's go scratch at that one for just a minute. So let me go create a quick little SQL statement here. Let me go prompt on this. We'll do a select. I'm going to go to q sys2 dot prompt. I think I should be able to get back stuff that's null from netstat. Let's try that one. So let's go click on that and see what it gives back. Yeah. So exactly. So I just ran this service, right? And you'll notice I got these big pink blotches on my screen that say none in them. So one of the settings that we've done under preferences, under results, you can go and actually tell us, what do you want to show? Do you want to see a color when a null value is found? So for me, when a null value is returned in the result set, I'm going to see the word none and a pink color there. If I want to do something else, boom, and make it red so it's, maybe a little bit more explosive, I can do that. And there we go. So that's probably one of the easier ways to at least deal with nulls, knowing that nulls are coming back. Doesn't exactly answer your question, but maybe it helps.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Anybody else have any questions?
I put one in the chat to Charlie and Tim.
Oh, let me look at it. Hold on, please.
Can you show me how to have it suggest indexes to improve? No, I'm not going to show you that one. That's not an ACS question. That's a Scott running database question. So it's a great question. Don't get me wrong, but it's not one that I'm going to be able to answer.
It's an SQL performance question. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot of information online already that you can find on how to do that.
So, Anders, one of the other things you can always do, you can always shoot us an email and we can go get back to you because I can send that information off to the people who can actually answer that better than me.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. Let's switch over to Navigator then. Unless somebody else has another update or question here. So the world of Navigator. There has been all sorts of fun new things that have been recently added here. Again, I want to point out this little link, this little document icon that's in the header. If you click on that, this will take you to our IBM Navigator page. From here, this latest PTF's update details. You click on that. This is our list of running updates. So since we delivered it, right, you can go click and see what was added at each of these. We delivered first quarter of 2023, which means we delivered about a month ago now. And there's a whole bunch of things, and we tried to describe all the stuff that we delivered in here. Want to make you aware of that. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today are part of this list, but, it wouldn't be me if we didn't venture into the world of not yet available. So we're going to talk about some things that are coming in our June release as well. So some of these things are out there, and I'll try to distinguish which ones you have access to, which ones will be coming in June. All of these updates are available in the latest HTTP PTF group. So once that PTF group for June becomes available, some of these other items that I'm talking about will be included. So a couple fun ones. Let's start with there. Under our little wrench, we have connection properties. Couple things that were added here. There's one that was added recently, i.e. in April. That's this guy here. What name do I want to have shown on my display? We always in the past had host name. Well, I don't know about you guys, but here at IBM, we have a whole bunch of really terrible host names. And so it can be very difficult to distinguish one system from the next. So people asked us, use our display name. And what is the display name? That is a name that you, when you add it to your main page, can then call it. So let me just go exit out of here for a second. If I, this name that's here at the if I click edit, when I put in a name, when I add a system, I have the host name and I have the whole node display name. This is a name that I can use to call it whatever I want, right? I'll call it Charlie for today. So now I've renamed common 1 to Charlie. If I sign on to that system, i.e. connect to manage it, you'll notice that now over here in my upper, where's my draw? There it is. Up here, you'll see that, why is it being difficult? Up there, Charlie is listed. Woohoo!
That's not an insignificant point, because if you're managing many systems, you definitely need the ability to have human readable names.
it certainly can be helpful.
Yeah.
The other item that we recently added under our connection properties, and this is coming in June, some people have been complaining about the amount of real estate available. And by default, the font size that we're using in the layout, would on a screen like, go flip over to here for a minute, but like on a screen like Work Active Job, if I'm working with a particular job, come on, connect, right? I get a certain number of rows shown on the screen. If I wanted to get more, I can change this to small, click Save, and when I go back and work with that same table, I now get an extra 3 or 4 rows shown on the screen. So it's kind of one of those, get more data available. Could be useful. All right, that's kind of some of the fluffy stuff, if you will. I want to dive into this just a little bit deeper with some usable things. Some things that have never before been available in a GUI interface is anything that has to do with the system job scheduler. You may have also noticed that this screen has changed. We've now created this in some subgroups as opposed to one great big huge long thing. But under jobs, we have scheduled jobs. This is the work management based job scheduler, not advanced job scheduler, but job scheduler. So here you can see all the jobs that have been scheduled, and you can see Scott's been very busy scheduling some run SQL scripts information. Usually it's done to exploit myself or Dawn. Oh, yeah, here we go. Dawn, Scott's snooping on you. Deal with it. Capture Dawn's objects. Keep track of what Dawn's doing. Make certain she doesn't get into trouble.
It's all that performance data,
Well, yeah, you've stepped over the line a couple times, so anyways. So this is now something that's coming in June. Additionally, advanced job scheduler, right? We've added that, but there's more stuff coming. We will have some additional information that will be added in here come June. So continue to enhance and improve the advanced job scheduler.
And this is now available at no extra cost, the ASJ?
Oh, yes. That's an excellent point, Charlie. With the licensing simplification that was done last year, several products are now at no additional charge. So, for example, AJS, Advanced Job Scheduler, that's now a free thing. You still have to go in and get it ordered. So if you want to use Advanced Job Scheduler, you can go talk to your business partner. They can go into the EES ordering system, and they can order this for you. The other one that was also part of this is under performance. We had things like Disk Watcher and Job Watcher, and that was an additional pay-for product as well. Those are also now available for you to use. And the best part is we cheated in the past, even though they were actually technically part of the PT1 and some option, we actually never shipped any code in there. So all we had to do was turn it off, and so now all that support is available. You don't even need to go order anything. You can just use it. And if you want to understand how to use it, talk to Don. Okay, now Charlie, you going to ask a question?
I was just going to say, because the advanced job scheduler may be new to so many different people here, can you just speak to that actual product for a minute or two and say why you might want
absolutely.
to use that?
So let's just talk about job scheduling. Job scheduling allows you to take a particular, in this case, command, and cause it to run at a scheduled time frame, whether it's weekly, daily, and you can have some very basic, when it's going to run and how it's going to run. Particular job D, maybe a user profile, that kind of stuff. It works great for some simple things. But the advanced job schedule allows you to take scheduling of a task and move it forward such that maybe I can schedule a series of tasks, or I want to schedule a group of entities into a single unit. So it allows you to do some more complex scheduling tasks versus running just a scheduled individual job. So you can schedule tasks to run in a particular order, as well as some of the more advanced timing type capabilities. And there's also then some notifications that can come as a result of that.
So it's definitely worth exploring.
Absolutely something that could be worth exploring. Okay. How do I get rid of, there we go. Alrighty, other new fun things that were recently added, just for awareness. Under our servers, TCP servers, we've been continuing to fill out the configuration of these. We don't have all of them yet, but we have many more of them. So for example, DHCP, if I go click on here, we now have properties. What properties means is I can go configure the dumb thing. Now, we've made a change. In the Heritage Navigator, we actually had a highly complex, detailed wizard that allowed you to walk through things and configure them. In the experiences that we've had, very few people actually ever used those wizards. Instead, they would go find these files sitting out in IFS and go forth and edit them. So we decided to stop fighting City Hall, and we decided to, well, let's give the users what they really want. So let's tie these things together and add some intelligence into our editor. So now I can go update things here. If I wanted to, add some things, like I want to add a new subnet. Now if I click Add Subnet, I can give it a name, an address. Oh, got to be a valid IP address, IP. So give it a mask. Actually, probably get it the other way around. 1.2.3.4. This needs to be 255. I can click Save, and look at that. I've added that in. Life is happy. So we've added a little bit of smarts in there to kind of help that process along. We've done that for DHCP. We also did it for DNS. DNS now can be configured as well, and it's a similar type of process that's under configure. These are not widely used things, but for those that use them, right, they can now configure them. Anyways, some of the stuff that we have to continue to update. What other fun things did we recently add? Let's talk about what's coming in June for integrated file system. We've been working on trying to provide a usable IFS interface that's tree-based in a web interface. So this will be a tree version alternative to what's in ACS. ACS is more of an opening up individual nodes and showing you what's there. So, I have a tree here. I can open and expand things here if I wanted to. So if I expand on home, right, there we go. I now have home expanded. But we've also now added this new navigate to where I can go specify a specific path. So if I typed in home/Timmer and hit enter, I'm going to, look at that, open. I'm going to put a tab here, and I'm going to open my home directory. Say I wanted to, let me just go to home here for a second. Look at that. Dawn has one. So maybe I want to go take this. I can then open that up in a new tab. Now I have the ability to go back and forth and have multiple tabs of things. and I can go work with individual things here. We're still working on adding, more features to it, but the navigation, being able to go update your permissions, see some of the properties, that's one of those things that we've recently updated. All the information that's from a properties perspective is now also here. So anything that you can find in, and that's one of the updates that we need to get added back into here, is the SQL that we use for the property page. That's going to get added here soon as well. I'll have to go. I thought that was done already.
It's also worth pointing out, of course, that obviously all security is respected. So if I don't have visibility,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of security, one of the things that's also part of this interface that was not part of any of our other interfaces is I can configure this for TLS. I can also configure each of these endpoints that I'm connecting to connect with TLS. I can also go then turn off all of the non-TLS ports for the host servers, and Navigator will continue to work, which is more than we could say for many of the other interfaces that we own today. And certainly past art, that was not possible at all. All right, so those are some of the newer, funner things that we've recently added. The other one that's really, I think, fascinating, this filter capability that we added. This came out in our March delivery, where you can see every column has a filter. And I'm going to go search for me, hit enter, and now I've activated it. Now I've got all of my jobs that have a value in it. Now, if I thread count, so let me go look at jobs that are greater than, let's see, greater than 1. So I've got 2 of them. So I've got 2 filters here. That's kind of nice. If I scroll over, I'll go click on this guy here. I want to go see my SQL statements. So there it is. I'm going to go toss this one over. Now you may notice that right now I don't have an SQL statement showing for either of these jobs. Why is that? Because I am showing you my work active jobs using the basic details view. Because with basic, what we're doing is we're limiting the amount of data that we go gather. What I mean by that is available columns. It's like 150 pieces of data available for each and every job. Basic is only giving you back like 10 things. The beauty is basic will work on any system. If you've got 10 jobs running on your IBM I, basic will work. If I've got 110,000 jobs running on my IBM I, basic will work, and it'll return you the values on this interface virtually instantaneously. That's great. But I still want to see what my SQL statement is, because I think this job is doing something and I want to know what it's doing. I have 2 options. If I right-click on this job, under Details, SQL Details, I could go click on that, and it's not running an SQL statement. It would have been nice to know that ahead of time. Well, let me go switch to the All view. When I switch between these, nothing actually happens until you click on the refresh button, and that's this first one. So this first one is refresh. When I click refresh at this point, I'm going to refresh the data, but respect my filtering. Notice I still only have 2 rows returned. And I can see that, yeah, you're right. There is no SQL for this batch immediate job. But there is SQL for this interactive one. Now I can go right-click, see the details, and I'm going to get it shown and formatted and prettier. So nice way to be able to see if I want to clear my filters, this last icon is reset. That's going to go clear all my filters back to non-existent and then go refetch the data. So every single table that we have in Navigator, so if I go to, let's go to disk information, for instance, right? It has this advanced filter capability. If I want to go to my user profiles, yep, it's all going to be here as well. So easily be able to go find things in a much faster, nicer way. Okay, questions?
So Tim, what do you say to the people who aren't using this invaluable tool at all? I mean, besides, why not? Or is
Well,
that
they certainly can't. Why aren't they using it? Great.
Yes.
Well, the biggest reasons that I hear people aren't using it is it doesn't have the RMS in it. And to that, I respond with, yes, you're correct. It doesn't. Go yell at the BRMS people. There's a GUI coming for that at some point in time in the future. Beyond that, so there was a comment that was just added into the chat about being able to go only work with full files. So to help with that thought for you for a minute, one of the things that we've added in here is function usage. So Navigator is totally controlled by function usage. If I click on function usage, I can go turn off, let me go up to function usage ID and just type in nav. Any of these that say IBM nav, we've created a high-level entity for each one of these icons over here on the left side. For some, we've drilled down and added some additional things. Like, so for example, under IFS, we have the ability to turn on or off file system, upload and download. So for the, under here, the integrated file system, I can turn off the ability for a user to upload or download files through this interface. Now, the question that came up is, can you turn off things so that I could go work with my spool files in here? And the answer is primarily pretty close to yes. I could go turn off all of these for everybody except for this one right here, which is my stuff, my work. So at this point in time, when I say I'm going to go look at my printer output, the only thing I'm getting back is stuff for Timmer. The SQL has been specified to return only stuff for me, and I can't change that. So I can't go modify what's returned here. So the my work stuff is intended to help with that specific use case that was put into the chat. Any other questions? Oh, another thing came in via chat. No, you can't change it via the action buttons.
So the
So
question I have is,
I can't change this. I can't go get another output. I can't go look at an output spool file that doesn't belong to Timmer through the My Work interface. This is only going to be my stuff. So for an end user, this is the interface for that.
I have another question from the chat also, Tim.
Go for it.
It's saying, can we set up sharing to Windows from within the IFS page of Navigator? Can we set up sharing to Windows?
File shares. New file share. So, yes.
What version do you have to be on to use new nav?
7.3 and higher.
With
that said,
yep.
7.3 and higher, we ship one common set of code across all systems. So the same exact code runs on 7.3, 7.4, and 7.5. Nicely. Have a nice day. But if I switch over to this system for a second, for example, I can manage, actually one of the other things that we've recently added, you may notice I show you the OS release and the TR level has now been added to the system page. I can actually even manage back as far as 7.1 for some things and 7.2 from a 7.3 system. Just depends on what you're trying to get after.
Can you go back to print and output and show how to see everybody's spool files?
Oh, I want to see everybody's?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go through the My Work interface. Under Work Management, we have queues. So if I want to see the queues, there we go, output queues. I can then see the output queue and which one has stuff. Well, there's one. I can then go to printer output.
And there you go.
And now I'm looking at printer output and I can see everybody's.
I
can also highlight a couple of these things and I can say export, and I can include all of the exported things inside of a zip file. So that's something that was added fairly recently.
So what I'm thinking, Tim, is that several people, while you're showing what's new, I think this entire tool is new to several people in this call. Are there any things that may not necessarily be new, but would be of interest, like the go-to things that would really incent somebody to, as soon as they get done with this meeting, go to start using this tool immediately?
Oh my gosh, I could spend, I not only could I in fact have spent hours talking about this in all sorts of different venues. And the answer is, oh my goodness, absolutely. So in the past with Navigator, quite honestly, the old version of Navigator, to me, the go-to thing was all of the stuff that's part of Performance Data Investigator, the PDI stuff. This was absolutely the number one thing and the number one reason to use Navigator. And it's still a really good reason to use it. The very first time that you open this up, I refreshed, I put a brand new version out on the system, so it takes a second to get all these perspectives loaded. But this is a great reason to use it, but it's not the only reason now. This is great because it does allow me to look at things in a graphical manner. So if I go look at graph history, for example, right, I can see what's going on graphically. Well, that's kind of fun. But I can do that for all sorts of different metrics within the operating system. So I'm not going to waste a ton of time on that, but bottom line is this is a huge piece of why Navigator is good. But we move forward to today with new Nav. There's a lot of other features. We have all the system monitoring capabilities where I can go create a monitor that allows me to not only detect what's going on, I can take action when something happens. There's all these different ways to view information, whether it's jobs, whether it's stuff around, message queues. Oh, speaking of message queues, another fun new one from our dashboard. If I've got multiple systems that I want to work with, we have this multi-system page. I want to look at inquiry messages. So I'm actually going to switch over to my other view because I think I have more on this one. Didn't want to do that. Here we go. Inquiry messages. This is going to open up a new tab, new browser tab. And what it does is it goes and shows me all of the unanswered inquiry messages that are on any of the systems that I have connection to from my main dashboard. So there we go. I actually probably want to go in here and selected system. Oh, things got all messed up. Let me go reset the defaults. Selected system. I've currently got all of these systems are currently available to me. And if I scroll down, is that the only one that I got selected? I wanted to select all of them. Common one, I can go have all of these. Of course, looks like none of these other systems have any inquiry messages on them. That's the only one that has an inquiry message. But if there were other inquiry messages here, I would have other systems listed. I can then go respond to them all from this one page. Reply, make it go away. So that's kind of a fun new thing. The other fun thing is custom charts, which allows me to go create some dashboards that allow me to look at metrics that I want to look at either on one system or look at across multiple systems. So that's kind of a fun thing that we've added, allowing you to actually look at multi-system items. Does ACS work on an iPad? No, because ACS requires Java. And so you can't do ACS on the iPad because ACS, the iPads don't like Java in that respect. But Navigator does work on the iPad because I use that all the time. So I run and work with my browser interface for Navigator on my iPad continually. All right.
This is great. This is great.
If you have to do things with network shares, one of the other cool things that we recently added, people like to disable their user IDs, their net share IDs. So I can go click on that, and it'll go show me all of the users that have disabled themselves from their net server. I don't have any, but if I did, they would show up here, and I could go re-enable them. So that's one of those fun little new things that we've recently added. You have to deal with security configuration info. Every attribute on the system that has a security implication, we show it here. And what's its value? If you want to configure audit journals, under audit journals, the magical, mystical configuration of the system values to turn on auditing, and for what we're auditing, I can now just turn on the switch and we will take care of updating that for you. Once I've been turned on auditing, it's probably one of those things most people don't actually look at it unless something bad happens. Well, maybe you want to. So I can have a view here where I can go, I'm going to look at authority failures, password failures, and I'm going to look at it for the last week. Click OK. I'm going to go out. I'm going to graphically show you what's going on. Authority failures, right? I've got, 92 on May 12th. It's been steadily climbing. It's up to 98 today. So I've had a gentle, gradual climb. That could be interesting. But really, this over here is probably more interesting. I got a peak of 21,000 password failures yesterday. What the heck is going on? If I right-click on that, I can go look at detailed view. I can go open that up in a new window, and I'm going to show you all of the actual physical audit journal entries. So maybe you can start to see, oh, look at that. Somebody's running an attack on the user profile root. Maybe I should go do something about it, but that's, for you to determine. Anyways, auditing and the information that's in Navigator, this is, I think, incredibly useful, incredibly important, and wasn't something that you could easily get to in the past.
So somebody just added to the chat. He's a very nice someone who turned. I'm someone who turned it on but didn't pay attention to it. This will now cause me to pay much more attention to it. Yeah.
So I will warn you. These are driven by the amount of auditing data that you have. So if you've got millions of rows, be careful. You could hurt yourself. It may take a while. You can also go look at it from a single day view. This is kind of fun because if I add more entries in, so I've got a bunch of different ones that I've added in, and I click OK. Now it changes the view. This is my daily view. And you can see, oh, geez, I've got a bunch that's going on right here. I got a whole lot less that are right here. And I can, again, right-click on one of these columns, and I can go look at just the detailed view for authority failures. And there's my authority failures information, so I can easily dive into what's going on. All right.
Terrific.
Any other comments, questions? I know we're over time, but whatever. Dawn, is there anything that I've missed that you thought I should cover?
I think you did a nice job, Tim.
Oh, thanks. I only ask you, Dawn, because you've seen me cover all the new stuff in our regular meetings.
I like the active pre-start jobs.
Oh, yes, I forgot the special request by Dawn. Active pre-start jobs, yes. Yes, Dawn is now happy. That's a new interface that we've added, so I can go change my pre-start job entries and go look at the elapsed statistics of what's going on. So all sorts of great stuff.
We use pre-start jobs at quite a few of our accounts. They're a really extremely powerful tool when you have them set up properly. You can do a lot with it.
We do. More and more of the system is being driven through pre-start jobs. So, for example, all of this information that we're getting and showing here on Navigator, at the end of the day, is being driven through a pre-start job. So,
can you, in 30 seconds or less, explain what a pre-start job is?
Explain pre-start jobs elapsed time, please.
So I had a 2-hour double session, Charlie, at Power Up on pre-start jobs.
So 30 seconds may not be doing the justice it deserves.
They're started ahead of time.
They're started ahead of time. There you go. That's and they're persistent. How's that sound?
They can be. Yeah.
They can be. They may not be.
Right.
Which can also be the root of your problems. So anyways, pre-start jobs are an important thing. It's basically we can't keep a job out there as opposed to having to have you pay for startup time. We actually then just send a piece of work to that job that's waiting to run so that it can run very quickly and fast. Anyways, all right.
That's a good...
Any other items? Again, I'd encourage you to keep track of what's going on out on this link here that can be launched to from our main page. We have got lots of information out there. There's some additional detail on different functional areas. So if you wanted to see what's going on in each of these, we have these little high-level icons. You can drill into here and find information about different pieces of the puzzle that we have. If you see something that is missing somewhere along the line, see something that, oh, geez, I wish you would cover some documentation on this or that, not a problem. Just send us an email. We'll be happy to continue to enhance stuff.
But, I also think that a good way to start learning this tool is just to get in there and just start using it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See what you can do with it. Because I think even if you've never seen it before, you're going to get valuable insight that you've never had before, or never had so easy access to it, I should say.
Okay. We probably need to talk about getting into it. So function usage, by default, you will notice, where is the all? Somebody turn this one to, here it is. All nav functions, default usage denied. What does that mean? That means that if you do not have security officer capabilities, SecAdmin, or some kind of a high-level user, you will not be able to access Navigator until somebody comes in here and says, add, like Don has done, add non-administrator users and give them access to this. So it's the idea and concept is we are trying to be more secure by default, and by that manner, NewNav is far more secure by default because we turn it off for the general user unless you are already an administrator.
Great.
All right.
This is incredible stuff. It really is. Oh.
Yes. You can turn off client access from here as well. Oh, you want to turn off only the, okay, I see what you're asking for. I want to turn off only the old access for Windows. No, we can't turn off it that granular. Although, if I scroll down a little bit, there's all of these function usage IDs that have an XE1 associated with them. Those were all for the Heritage Nav and or the access for Windows client. So you can turn off various pieces, but you can't go turn off everything. So I know what you're asking for. You can't do that piece.
Okay. Tim, I want to thank you very, very much for joining us today on iChime.
Thanks for having me.
This has been great. This has been really great. Tim, you have any last words, sir? To the any last words?
Any final? Yes.
Any final words?
Last words. Yeah. Now we're good.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me come.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for your thank you for all you do for not only for iChime but all you do for the community. You're a real asset. So thank you very much. And everybody is
always my pleasure.
Everybody is in the chat all saying thank you, Tim. Bye everybody. Have a great summer. So there you go.